Today we're going to learn all about compound interest. We'll learn what compound interest is, how compound interest can work against us, and most importantly, how we can use compound interest to our benefit. In order to understand compound interest, let's compare it to another type of interest called simple interest. Simple interest is, well, pretty simple to understand. Let's begin with an example. I deposit $5,000 into a bank account that offers me 2% in simple interest per year. 1 year after putting my money into my bank account, the bank gives me $100, or 2% of $5,000. The total balance of my bank account is now $5,100 after 1 year. Let's fast forward to 10 years after I deposited my $5,000 into the account. Since the bank gives me $100 each year in interest, my bank account now has $6,000 after 10 years. I received $100, or 2% of $5,000, each year for 10 years. As you can see with this example, simple interest can be modeled with a linear graph. Now let's take a look at compound interest. Once again, I deposit $5,000 into an account. This time, however, the account has an interest rate of 2% compounded annually. After 1 year, I once again receive $100 in interest, bringing my balance to $5,100. However, after the second year, I receive a payment of $102. Where did this extra money come from, and why did I not receive $100 like last time? Compound interest works by calculating interest on interest. What does this mean? The first year, I received 2% of my $5,000 in interest. The next year, the interest rate stayed the same at 2%. However, it was 2% of $5,100 instead of 2% of $5,000. Over time, that 2% of the balance in your account becomes bigger and bigger, meaning that you are paid more and more in interest every year. For this reason, compound interest is often modeled as an exponential graph. In this scenario, compound interest sounds great, but you need to remember that this form of interest can also work against you. Credit card companies frequently use compound interest on outstanding balances, but their interest rates are much higher than 2%. For those with good credit, the average interest rate on credit cards is 20%. This means that every year, 20% in compound interest will be added to your outstanding credit card balance. This continues a year after that, and a year after that, and so on, until you pay off your initial balance as well as your accumulated interest. As you would imagine, the amount of interest added to your credit card balance increases very quickly, and this is how people can get into trouble with credit card companies. In summary, compound interest can increase a principal amount of money much quicker than simple interest can. Putting your money into an account that makes use of compound interest can cause your wealth to increase significantly. However, if you aren't careful and don't pay off balances you have that make use of compound interest, you can find yourself owing much more money than you thought you did just a few months earlier. I hope you've learned something about compound interest and thank you very much for watching.